Okay, to summarize, right now we have a tiles map in the diffuse color. It's being controlled by the map scaler via map channel number 1. You see the same map channel referenced here in the coordinates rollout. We have a 16:1 tile size. At this point, I'd like to substitute a map for the gray color of the tile cell. Click on the None button here and select Bitmap. Choose the plank JPEG from the sample files folder. It's an image of a plank of wood that's much longer than it is wide. I'd like to control this independently of the tiles map. I'll use map channel number 2 to give it independence. As soon as I do that, I get this warning that tells me that the floor plane doesn't have texture coordinates on map channel number 2. I'll cancel and close Active Shade. Assign the UVW map to give independent texture control to the bitmap. Use map channel number 2 to make this connection. Use real world scale and set the size at 4 feet by 4 feet to start with. Notice that real world map size is checked over here as well. Do another test render or use Active Shade. Right now there's a mismatch between the bitmap and the tiles map. Remember, this plank JPEG is much longer than it is wide. We should try to match this bitmap's aspect ratio to that of the tiles map. Remember, the tiles map was 16:1. If I set this at 16:1, we should get a match. Now that's working, but I'd say that the texture is too small. It's hard to perceive the grain at this scale. To compensate, I'll make this 4 feet by 6 inches. And that looks better, I'd say. You can see a bit more of the grain. However, there's still a mismatch between the tiling pattern here of the bitmap and the tiling pattern of the tiles map. It looks like they're offset by half a tile. I need to move this back so that it lines up with the tiles grid. To do that, I'll use an offset of 2 feet. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to close Active Shade and zoom in even closer. Notice that there's a little gap here between the grout line and the bitmap. To compensate for that, I'll use an offset of 2'1". That's too much. I need half as much as I did, so I'll say 2 foot and a half an inch. And that looks good. I'd say that the grout is too thick. I'll go up to the parent and make it smaller. I'll add a 0 to both horizontal and vertical, and maybe that's too small now. I can't really perceive it anymore. I'll make it bigger by making this 0.005 and 0.05. This is typical of the kind of trial and error that you have to go through when you're designing a realistic material. The grout is too dark. I'll change the texture color and I'll make it a brown hue, and I'll just experiment with a different value and saturation until the grout lines look about right.